Hello, my name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Soulivity Live. We've got a great show on emotional intelligence tonight, so let's get this party started, okay? Um, Let me set the stage. Although this great Greek philosopher lived 2,000 years ago, Plato made some important statements about the human condition. Specifically, he did a lot of study around learning and assimilating information, how we do that. And he said, all learning has an emotional base. And so emotions are very important. And over the years, other psychologists and sociologists studied emotional intelligence and found that emotions are just not important. They're vitally important to life and living. In fact, emotions literally influence how we perceive different situations, including how we view our relationships. So it's important for each of us to become aware of the hidden messages that we tell ourselves during conflicts with our partners, our family members, our friends, even our work colleagues. So tonight, back to the show is our relationship experts and authors, Jesse and Melva Johnson. We're going to dig a little deeper into emotional intelligence and specifically how it influences what we do, what we say, and what we even dream. So with that, let's get them online. Here we go. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Technology is something, right?
I had to find the right button to push.
Well, you pushed the right button. I want to remind everybody out there that we love questions during the show. So just post them to the live stream here and we'll get to them as many as we can, okay? This is a hot one, so feel free to reach out. Mom, the article that you wrote for this month's issue in the magazine, guys, if you haven't read it, go read it. It's awesome. Enlighten me on some things around your relationship with Dad. And I never knew that you had such emotions around Dad smoking.
Yeah. Quite frankly, I don't think he did either. I don't think he knew these emotions.
Wow.
I think the only one that Jesse saw was what he interpreted was anger. Maybe I showed that too, but beneath all of that was something even deeper. When you love someone so deeply, you want them to be happy, you want them to be healthy, and you want them to be around for a long, long, long time.
Wow. So, that's where I wanted to kind of start. Is that why you felt the way you did back then? I mean, all Dad saw was this frustration and conflict coming his way. But now that you've grown and that kind of thing, are you more aware of that now, of how that all came about?
Yes, because then, I think I had tunnel vision then because I was getting into the process of understanding that anger is a secondary emotion. Mm-hmm. And beneath all of that is something deeper. And the deeper was the feeling of powerlessness, hopelessness, and just plain fear. And then when I used the tools that we use, to make connections with that, with people that I love dearly who passed away much too early. My mother, Jesse's father, people who I really cherish being around. I thought, well, I don't want that to happen to Jesse.
Is that what drives it? I mean, I know this is what well, I guess we'll just talk about this specific situation and we'll kind of move on into other dimensions of relationships. Is that why you felt the way that you did? I mean, it was like a learned experience as you were growing up where people that you loved passed away and now you're saying, I don't want you to pass away either?
Yeah, it was connected to loss. And you know, as I think about it now, I had not put this piece together until just this minute. Growing up, I was my grandfather's favorite.
Oh.
And I didn't know it, but my sisters knew.
Mm.
And when he passed away, that was devastating too. And so I couldn't stop that. I couldn't stop any of that. So it's related to loss and the fear of loss.
Wow. Wow. Um, Now, why do you think it was important that you recognize these feelings?
Because well, first of all, staying in that kind of turmoil was too much of a struggle. And when I was tapping into the whole idea of my spiritual relationship, I remembered the tenet. Somebody said, if you're going to pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray.
Mm.
So I got in touch with that, and it was like, you know, this is bigger than me, and this is really not about me. I mean, I'm in the context of this, but this is not really about me. So I really need to let go and let God. I need to be kind. I had to figure that out too.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get to a place of peacefulness. And then I had to implement it in a way that my day-to-day life was tolerable. So I could acknowledge the fear, but I had to neutralize it,
Right.
so that it didn't overwhelm me.
Now, Dad,
Mm-hmm.
what was it like for you when you learned? I mean, because the first experience was just getting knocked over the head
Mm-hmm.
with the frustration and the anger from Mom.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like for you to learn that there was more to this story?
Well, it's a complete game changer. Before, my assumption was that Melva was just getting on me about something, and that she's being critical and judgmental and so forth. And of course, my emotional reaction and response to that was to get angry and to respond in a negative way. But once I realized, after she realized, and she got in touch with the fear
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that um, I was important enough to her to be concerned about how long I was going to be around on this planet,
Wow.
okay, then that made a complete difference.
That's a different conversation.
A whole different conversation.
Wow. Mom, how did you deal with this? What was like your first, once you realized, I mean, how did you come to realizing that this was going on with you?
How did I realize it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, during my, I have a daily practice of prayer and meditation. And just being still and listening to, allowing that small, still voice to speak to me. Because I really wanted to be on purpose. I wanted to be in alignment. I wanted to be supportive. And I knew that what I was doing was not working. Even though I had the best intentions, I tried to support the best way that I knew how. And I did not know that I was not, well, I did know it wasn't supportive because of the reaction that I got.
Mm-hmm.
So being still and getting information about trying a different approach, which was letting go and being loving at the same time.
Wow.
Get over criticizing, because that's very natural. Get over being judgmental, because that's natural.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take the road less traveled and try something different that brought more peace inside. And I'm not saying it was easy. I'm saying that I think courageous is the word, enough to try another approach.
It sounds like, Mom, what you're saying is you had to face your own fear and almost like, okay, there's more to it than just me being afraid. So what's behind the curtain here?
Yes.
And you had to look and say, okay, this is really about this fear of loss and what I've experienced in the pain, right?
Yeah.
You know, I
And
guess all of us in some degree, some form, fashion, want to change our loved ones. I mean, even our colleagues in different relationships.
yeah, and when we do it, out of our awareness, we're sending a message that the other person is broken in some way, and that's what they react to. You know, they
Wow.
know that something is wrong, but if somebody else points it out, it's like, you know, everything in them that they have experienced any time in their life that said that something was wrong or they were flawed, that gets activated. So I wasn't aware of that. So letting go, letting God, being non-attached. I'm not saying I did it well, but that was my goal. I knew that this was his journey, and this is something he had to do on his own time frame, in his own way.
Okay. So you came into the awareness of what was going on with you, but there's another mirror side to this of stuff that dad needed to know and learn for himself.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you had to let go of the timetable around what he was going to do.
Yeah.
You had to do what you need to do for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's hard.
Yeah. I'll say.
Now, Dad, no, go ahead. Go ahead, Mom.
Well, you know, I didn't have these words at the time. And when Michael Beckwith said them years later, because it was 20 years that he stopped smoking, that Michael Beckwith said there's a very important question to ask when there's something going on that doesn't bring peace and harmony inside. To ask yourself the question, if I have to live with this forever, what quality do I have to develop within myself to have peace of mind? Wow. So I didn't know that then, but that's what I was doing. And then after I heard him, I said, oh, that's what I did.
I'm so smart. I'm so smart.
No, that's still small voice is really smart. I was smart enough to listen.
Right. Dad, how was it for you? I mean, so Mom's doing her thing, right? In terms of like coming to these awarenesses and all that. What did you come into an awareness about? I mean, the smoking was one thing, but what was there anything else that was there for you?
Well, as you said, the most important question that came to me was, why are you doing this? I'd never asked that question before.
Wow.
I didn't know that from all the medical research and so forth, that smoking was one of the worst things you could do for your health.
Right.
And you've been doing this for a long time. Why? And then when I went back and examined the original reason why I even got started, which was to try to, to look cool in front of the girls, and also me and the boys, kind of like pretending we're men. Sort of thing. I said, well, that's a stupid rule, a way for you to do that. So that reason that you had is no longer worthwhile or whatever. So it's about time for you to really think about changing that and doing something different. Now, here's the thing, though, I think that's really important, which is also the beauty of relationships. And that is Melva's determination to let go of her fear and anger and that sort of thing allowed me to relax enough around that so that I could begin to ask those questions I needed to ask myself. Okay. So that's how it works.
Wow. Now let's kind of broaden this out a little bit.
All right.
Because, this is a close relationship, right? We're talking your partner, your wife, your spouse, your dearest loved one. where I guess a whole bunch of stuff that's inside of you is going to come up. But we have other relationships, right? Where we feel as though maybe we want to change them. Why do we do that? I mean, you guys had your specific reasons. What are some of the typical, I mean, you guys have been doing this a long time in terms of your practice and teaching people how to relate to each other. What are some of the general kinds of things that you find in your practice with other people in terms of answering that question, the why?
Yeah, I'll start.
Go ahead.
Okay, and before that, I say that I was not just concerned about me. I was also concerned about you and Paul as well. It's like, you know, we're a family. He would be a big loss. Okay, so in terms of what I see in our practice, the whole thing about, you know, when people come in for counseling, they generally come in because they want us to fix the other person. Right. So, and what we have found is that people in any situation, they could be in a love relationship, they could be in a work relationship. People are comfortable when the other person is just like them. So if another person is different from them, and even though they bring all of these different qualities to the table, where people can work together and have an amazing experience, if a person is different, people get scared. So they try everything that they know to get that person to change to be like them.
Wow.
And so this whole thing about really getting to know a person and understand them, understand where they're coming from, understand that they have a different language for functioning and being in the world, that's a gift that a person gives themselves as well as the other person. But anything that's different, I have found in many cases, in the workplace, in the counseling room, in the workshop, I have found that just brings up all kind of stuff in people because they don't understand it. So their brain interprets it as wrong and scary.
So Dad, is that I guess that's the purpose of us relating to each other, right? I mean, we're supposed to commune in communities and in societal groups. It's kind of like what ultimately can eliminate a lot of societal issues, right? With racism and discrimination and all these kinds of things where we bridge the gaps between each other. Is that correct? Is that what the whole purpose is?
That is correct, and that is the process. And when persons do not feel that they are safe in the world among other people, okay, then they live in constant fear. You live in fear at home. You live in fear in your workplace. You live in fear in your social situations. And with really no way of knowing how to step out of all of that so that you can live a life that is joyful and peaceful and happy and loving and all of that.
Wow. Mom, is that why we build silos, right?
Yeah.
And we, because you were talking about, that we get uncomfortable around people that aren't like us, that don't think like us. So we just group ourselves in with not necessarily like-minded people, but people who we're not afraid of.
Right. Because if they think like us and function like us, then they're okay. And it's so, in one arena that brings that up in such an energetic and intense way is politics. People have gotten divorces over politics. So the whole thing, but there's one couple that's made it for years and years and years. And they're totally.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Wasn't he the campaign manager or something like that? Yeah. And they were, staunch.
Yes. Yeah.
Republican, Democrat. Yeah.
Yeah. So they could write a book. Actually, I think they did. So this whole thing about if you're not like me and you don't think like me, if you don't function like me, you're the enemy. They miss the bigger purpose that people are, the purpose for people coming together is so that they can bring their uniqueness, they can bring their authentic selves to the table and talk about how can we blend what both of us are bringing to the table, right, and support each other to grow in the areas where we need growth, because the person who's stronger in one area, they can teach the other person.
Wow.
You know, so it's a different kind of mindset.
So and I'll open this up to either one of you. What's the process first, and then what's one step that we can take today?
Well, I'll start. Melva, you can join in.
Sure.
For me, the first step was acknowledging the fact that I was unhappy around certain relationships I had. Okay. And I'm not even sure whether or not significant people in my life even knew about it, because I hadn't really talked to them about it. It was something I did, I kept to myself. And then going back to the question a few moments ago that I posed, then the question to me was, why are you unhappy? What judgments are you making around whatever this person is or the situation is that is causing you to be unhappy with your life and unhappy with them? Then the next question is it really about them or is it about me? Wow. And so when I was really honest with myself and answered that question, what I concluded was it was me. It was not the other person, it was me. And that in fact, more than likely, they were trying to communicate something to me that I needed to know, that was important to me. And they did so out of a love and caring, not out of being angry or antagonistic or anything of that nature. It was that they cared for me enough that they really wanted the best for them and best for me.
Does sometimes what gets in the way is the how they communicate it? It's something that we can't hear, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because when it's, you know, and people talk about communication all the time, however, it is like one of the fundamentals. The way that someone would deliver the message, because a lot of times when people are scared, they come from a place of criticism and judgment.
Okay.
So that automatically turns the other person off. Okay. So if there's, because you asked for a step, so if there's a positive intention for two things: curiosity about who this other person is and where they're coming from. And the second one is an intention for compassion. That is trying to understand what it is like for that person. What is their experience like? That just shifts gears all the way. And then, because if you have compassion for another person, it's like you can really hear them out. You can, and you really want to get to know them. I mean, that is such a phenomenal invitation to intimacy.
Right.
Jesse defines intimacy as intimacy. If you can have that with another human being in any arena in life, you know, like in a love and marriage relationship, you go really deeper, but even in a work relationship, to get to know the other person, what they're all about, and what they're trying to bring to the table, it's gold.
Now, you just said workplace, and we have a question around workplace. So we're gonna. Oh. Are you ready for that one? And then we'll come back to the. This is from Sasha.
Hey, Sasha.
And hi, Sasha.
Hey.
And she says, "How does emotional intelligence help in situations where emotions are a non-factor or suppressed, like in the workplace?"
Yeah, so in the workplace, and that's where the curiosity comes from, because people don't really get into emotions in the workplace. Well, sometimes if somebody has a meltdown, usually, people try to hold it down, but the workplace can be very, very frustrating. So the whole idea about curiosity and wondering, I wonder where that came from, and assuming that it's coming from a positive place may not be coming out correctly, because sometimes it's not from a positive place, but assuming it's like, let me just figure out what this person is saying. Because I remember, and it's just really Jesse's story, that after we learned this dialogue process that we do, when Jesse went to work and his boss would give him all this stuff to do. I mean, reams and reams and reams and reams of stuff. So,
yes, Lord.
So the boss was under pressure. Jesse was under pressure. So, and you know, Jesse's got this calm demeanor about him, right?
Yes,
so he just listen and hear him out. And then after his boss got finished with his, 25 chapters of stuff that he needed to have done yesterday, Jesse would calmly say, I know all of those are important, and I really want to support you to get all of this done. Which one do you want me to do first?
Good question. That's a great question.
Second, because I'm here for you, and so let's get this worked out so that I can be in the best place to help you to get this done.
That's honoring him and yourself, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna use that. Before we get into some steps, I want to backtrack a little bit, because I think there's another important aspects of it, because we kind of touched on different aspects of emotional intelligence and relationships.
Yes.
But one special relationship is our children.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, number one, the importance of it, and how we can support our relationships with our children and shifting out of, frustration, anger, and those kind of things, where we're shifting out of the conflict into more positivity?
Yeah. First, to normalize the feelings, to normalize them, to let children know that their feelings are important and that you want them to use their words so that you can really find out what's going on, so you know how to help them. Okay. The other thing is what we used to do.
Uh-oh.
All of us. Our family meetings.
It's true. Yeah. No, you can't tell any of my business now.
No, I'm just going to talk about the structure.
So family meetings are good. Can you kind of tell us around that process and, briefly?
Yes. It was extremely important, especially if we came together as a blended family. It was extremely important that we find ways to be able to work in a cooperative manner for the benefit of everyone in the household. So once a week, usually it was on Sunday afternoon, at a regular time, and we would sit down together and we would share our accomplishments from the past week, mm-hmm. and give each other a celebrative kind of response to that. We would also ask each other for any kind of support that we might need. Like, for example, Brian, you might have a concert that you were part of, or
test coming up.
A test coming up, yeah.
Yeah, I remember asking.
Yeah. And so whatever it was that you needed, around that, then you could offer that. But we also made it very clear, too, that family meetings were not the time for you guys to ask for money. So,
ask for moral support.
Right.
And then the other part of the agenda was people had an opportunity to share their gripes.
Right.
And everybody would hear everybody out. So everybody was 4 of us with 15 minutes each. And everybody would go through those steps. And nobody would interrupt anyone. Right. No one would comment on anyone during the 15 minutes. And if someone needed more time, they would ask for more time. They always got it.
Right.
But just normalizing that it's okay to be upset about things, and to ask for support.
Right.
It's okay to be clear about what it is that you're experiencing and what's going to help you to have a better experience of it. Mm-hmm. It's really important to celebrate the good things that happen, because since our brains are wired to focus on negativity, we have to have a structure to focus on what works and
Right.
what's positive and what brings peace and what brings joy.
Now, I want to say to everyone who's watching, the process that we went through as a family, and Mom, Dad, you can chime in on this. I guess I'll go to you, Dad, on this. There's no silver bullet. Like you don't do the family meeting once or twice expecting this whole dramatic shift to happen.
Right.
Right. This is to build the foundation so that specifically children, in my case, myself with my parents, would be able to come to them later on and say, this is what's going on with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we would get home late from the second job, and you guys would be sitting on the stairs and say, can we have a family meeting? It could be, I remember one time it was like 10 o'clock and we were dragging in the house. And I don't know if it was you or if it was Paul, but both of you sitting on the stairs and said, can we have a family meeting? Right. So I remember saying, oh, sure.
You guys had worked all day.
I thought to myself, now we have told these guys over and over again, whenever they want to talk, we're available. So we just pulled up the chairs in the kitchen. They had a family meeting.
And that's an important part, right? That there's the dedication and commitment to it, right?
Right. I'd like to add too that I think another advantage of our family meetings was the fact that we were able, as parents, to communicate to you and Paul that we were not super mom and super dad. That parents also need support.
Right.
And there are things that you can do to be of support to us as we're attempting to be supportive to you.
Thank you, Dad. That's a very important aspect. And I think it's a reoccurring theme, even with our partners, with our work colleagues, with our children. These other people need to know that we need support too.
Absolutely.
And that we recognize in them that they also need some support in terms of emotions, and this revolves all around emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. So, what's one thing that we can do ourselves today to grow in that area? I mean, what's one thing that we can practice?
Well, I would start with that question that I asked myself. If there's something that's going on, as long as it's not a deal breaker. Now, if it's a deal breaker, that's a whole different conversation.
Well, let's stop there real quick. Okay. Explain what a deal breaker is.
A deal breaker, if there's violence that's going on, if there's total disrespect, if there's anything that's going on that's hurtful to either partner or any person in the relationship, if it's a work relationship, love relationship, any of that. So those are deal breakers.
Gotcha. And
those require a different strategy and a totally different conversation.
Okay.
So if it's not any of that, then the one step that I would start with is the one that I learned to use when I was dealing with the situation about the smoking. I mean, because other things come up too. We have a different, timing. Right. I'm an earlier person. He tends to run late. I mean, so those kinds of things to just think about. So if this happens forever, what do I need to do within me to cultivate peace of mind?
Wow.
So that I can stay sane. I added that part. But that's the first step I would.
What about you, Dad? What's one step? Do you agree with that, or you have another,
I wholeheartedly agree with that, because I think what typically happens is that we want to blame the other person for whatever it is that they are doing or not doing. Wow. That causes what we tell ourselves is, you causing me discomfort or pain or disappointment or hurt or whatever because of the fact that you won't change in the ways that I want you to change.
Right.
So the first question really is not about the other person. It's about why am I upset about this particular issue?
Right.
What is it that's going on inside of me that I need to take a look at? Mm-hmm. And then it helps us to get to what you were talking about, Melvin, that is in terms of learning to have peace within ourselves, regardless of what our partners do. That we're in charge of our own ship.
Gotcha. I know you didn't want to say ship.
Well, you know.
And there's also, you know, your dad.
I do.
and there's also the revised prayer of serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the person that I can, and to know that that person is me. So it's from that place that you get to a place of peacefulness inside, and then also get clear about what you want to invite the other person to have a conversation about. You can always invite the conversation. It's how you invite the conversation.
Okay. I want to flip this, and if it's the same approach, let me know. So that's, you know, it sounds like when we're the one who's trying to change the other person, but what if when the other person is coming to us telling us basically, I want you to change? Is it the same process or is it a little different?
Good question.
Well, I think there needs to be a little internal research. Okay. And the research, and actually during the conversation is, what is it that, what am I doing now that has an impact on you? And what is that impact? And so, what is it that you want from me instead? And then when you have that information, then you can figure out, and we always ask people to ask the other person, give me 3 ways that I could give that to you. 3 ways, 3 positive ways using the SMART formula. Okay. Give me 3 ways and let me think about it. And then if any of those fit, then you could say, well, I'll be happy to do this because it's going to help me in this way. It's going to support you in this way. And it's going to help me in this way. Because I really didn't know that I had this kind of impact on you. Thank you for sharing it. So, but you got to know what it is that the other person wants and how they want it.
Right.
How they want it. And then let them give you options, because it could be something that you have not considered. And if none of the 3 that they come up with, you know, just think about, you know, if so, I want to have a positive impact on this person. So if I'm not impacting them the way that I want, so what can I do in a different way? Because I'm really here for this person. I love this person. So
like what Dad said in the workplace, I have all this pile of work that you need support in, that you want me to do, but I need direction on what's priority. Yeah. What's first, what's second, what's third, and then I will do that in the time that I can do it. Wow. Okay. We're a little over, but I thought it was important for us to continue to, you know, flush this out a little bit. I want to let everybody know that Jesse and Melva, Mom and Dad, will be back on March 13th. We're going to be talking more about building happier relationships. So I invite you to that show and join us for more laughs and all that kind of stuff. Mom and Dad, thank you. As always, I'm still learning and growing every time you guys speak.
And hey, here's the thing. We're also learning from you and your brother and your wife. Okay.
Yes.
The community, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're learning from each other.
And and I'd like to thank all of those who chose to tune in to this particular webinar. And thank you for joining us. And we will be glad to meet with you again on March 13th. Right?
March 13th.
All right.
And everybody, we're going to have all of Jesse and Melva's information on the website at soulivity.com within a day or two, so that, you know, accompanying this video, so you can watch it and gain some more information, as well as learn more about their great process on communications, communicate to connect.
Yep.
And, you know, to build happier relationships across, you know, all of your relationships, may it be personal, work, professional, whatever it is. Okay. So thank you again, Mom and Dad. I want to remind everyone too that This video and a whole bunch of other inspirational content is available through our mobile app that you can download at Google Play and the App Store. It is absolutely free. So go download it and get inspired. It's what we do here at Soulivity to support you in living a better and happier life. So until then, my name is Brian Westley Johnson, thanking each and every one of you for joining us tonight. And I'll see you tomorrow for our show with Paul O'Brien, where we're going to be talking about the mystery of the romantic paradigm.
Ooh.
All right.
All right. So with that, I'm going to say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Inspiration 24 hours a day by downloading the Soulivity mobile application, available at Google Play and the App Store.